The NHL has announced the Hart Trophy finalists, and it's safe to say that quite a few candidates that could have won the trophy this year weren't even nominated to be named MVP of the league. As you can see here, the finalists have been named as Nikita Kucherov, Nathan MacKinnon, and Connor McDavid, who all had sensational seasons, and no one is taking that away from them. But a lot of people are up in arms about certain people who weren't even named as finalists. From Boston's Pasternak to New York's Panarin, we had a lot of great individual seasons statistically. But there's one guy in particular who hockey fans, and especially Leafs fans, have looking like this. Where the heck is Auston Matthews' name? After having one of the best seasons we have seen in decades in terms of goal scoring, he wasn't even nominated, and it's safe to say he was robbed. We will get into all of that and more in this video, but first, I want to welcome you to Hattrick HQ. If you love hockey, then make sure you subscribe, because less than 20% of the people watching are subscribed. So if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around the NHL, then make sure you join the Hattrick HQ family. But like I said, let's jump into it, and it's just true. Matthews was snubbed from being a candidate. Well, he was certainly a candidate, but a finalist for the Hart Trophy, for the league's MVP. Now, the Hart Trophy is said, or it's categorized as the player deemed to be most valuable to their team. It's not like other sports where they say it's just the most valuable player in the league. They say it's to their team. So a lot of people are saying, well, the Leafs, they do have that core four. They have a lot of good players. Matthews doesn't necessarily carry the Toronto Maple Leafs. We saw William Nylander also get 40 goals this season. Marner's always saucing the puck around, and other players played great. But come on, after a 69-goal season, he wasn't even named a finalist for the trophy. That's ridiculous. Let's get into Matthews' stats here. So, as you can see, 69 goals for first in the league. I mean, no doubt about it. He won the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy. He'll get that very soon, add some more hardware to his cabinet. He was the first player to get 69 goals in 1 year since Mario Lemieux back in the mid-90s. It's been almost 30 years since someone scored 69 in a season. It's ridiculous that he was not even named as a candidate. 107 points, over 100 points, and a plus 31 as well. Top 20, top 15 in the league in plus minus. He's a menace. Offensively and defensively, he's so strong. I know it's a regular season trophy as well. So if people were taking into account the playoffs, because, you know, maybe he didn't have the greatest playoffs. He ended up missing a couple games. The Leafs won those games, and then once he came back, they lost, which really sucked. But was it Matthews' fault? No, of course it wasn't his fault. I mean, he's the man on the sweater that I'm wearing right now. I love the guy. I can't believe that he wasn't even named as a finalist. It is ridiculous. Now, look at some of these names. These are the only people who have ever scored more goals in a season than Matthews has this year. So obviously you got Wayne Gretzky, Brett Hull, who's done it a few times, Mario Lemieux, Phil Esposito, McGillney, Solani. Then you got Yari Curry and Bernie Nichols there towards the bottom. Those are the only guys who have scored 70 plus in 1 year. Kind of crazy that Brett Hull's on here that many times, and the Blues just weren't able to do much in kind of the early 90s there. But either way, those are names of greats. They're all greats. They're all Hall of Famers. Well, except McGillney. Don't really know why. Something, you know, maybe some collusion going on there. We don't need to speak about that. But these are all, you know, some of the biggest stars in NHL history. And Matthews was right there, right underneath with a 69-goal season. Could have hit 70. It's unfortunate he didn't in those last couple of games. But his season won't even go down as an MVP season, let alone as a season where he was nominated for the Hart Trophy. It is absolutely bonkers to me that he won't be recognized higher than just the Rocket Trophy this year. It's absolutely insane. I feel for Leafs fans. I feel for Matthews. I mean, I'm sure both Leafs fans and Matthews and the rest of the Maple Leafs would rather still be playing in the playoffs and not worrying about, you know, the Hart Trophy conversation. But since the Leafs are out, which sucks, now we have this to talk about, and there's just more to be mad about. It's just a mad time for Toronto and Leafs fans. But let's look at some of the guys who were named finalists. So let's make a case for McDavid. Now, I think on this list here, he might be the least deserving of the trophy. In my eyes, he is the best player in the NHL. So if the NHL named the Hart Trophy or described it as the best player in hockey, the best player in the league, like some other sports do, then yes, give it to McDavid, give it to McDavid every single year. He is the best player in the world. There's no denying that. But most valuable to the team, I'm not too sure about that. Let's get the tail of the tape here. Connor McDavid had 32 goals, not bad at all. He really turned it on when he wanted to. And then 100 assists. Yes, he became the 4th player in NHL history to hit 100 assists in one season. After Bobby Orr did it, Wayne Gretzky did it 11 times, and Mario Lemieux did it 1 year as well. So McDavid became the 4th player to do that. Absolutely insane. 100 assists is incredible. He is the best player in the league. But he didn't necessarily carry Edmonton the way maybe some of these other finalists did, for their teams. McDavid is great, and there's no denying the Oilers would be a lot worse than they are if they did not have McJesus on the team. He's absolutely insane. But we saw a lot of other Oilers step up this year. Obviously, they have Leon Draisaitl, who kind of completes that duo there, the combo, the 1-2 punch. But Zach Hyman as well, former Leaf, went crazy this season, and I'd almost argue that the Oilers would be worse off without Hyman than McDavid. I mean, I know that's insane. Hyman obviously capitalizes a lot on the play of McDavid. I think, 50 of those assists for McDavid are goals by Hyman. I see it more as 50 of those goals by Hyman are plays by McDavid. But either way, McDavid is insane, but I don't know if this is quite his year to be named Hart Trophy winner. He's insane, such a good player, but just not this year. It wasn't quite the criteria we're looking for here. Now let's get into the next one, a case for MacKinnon. Once again, he had an insane season, absolutely sensational. This guy is fantastic, one of the most exciting players in the league to watch. When he turns it on, watch out. He will be going coast to coast. He can shoot, he can pass, he's so fast, insane. Let's look at the stats here. He had 51 goals, a 50-goal season, good for 4th place in the NHL this year. 89 assists as well, which, I mean, with these players getting 100 assists, doesn't seem that great. But still, over an assist a game is incredible. He had 140 points for 2nd in the league, and he had a pretty dang good plus-minus as well. Not to mention as well that he went on some crazy streaks this season. We saw the point streaks he went on, which were amazing. And he had a chance to break Wayne Gretzky's home point streak record of 40 games. Unfortunately, MacKinnon did lose it at 35, but still, 35 games in a row. I believe it was from the first home game of the season to the 35th that he got a point in every single one of those. An insane record. It was so fun to keep up with that one. It's a shame that he did end up losing it. But he, once again, had an insane season, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people have him pegged as the favorite to win this Hart Trophy. The only thing, again, against him, kind of like McDavid, is that MacKinnon doesn't necessarily carry Colorado the way maybe some other players carry their teams. I mean, guys like Sidney Crosby, he absolutely carried the Penguins this year. If the Penguins had snuck into the playoffs, I'm sure Crosby would be maybe even a nominee, a finalist for this trophy. But MacKinnon has Cale Makar, he's got Mikko Rantanen, really good players that also help the team and do it all. And I don't know, MacKinnon is fantastic, but he isn't the most valuable to his team like the guy who should actually win this trophy. I know a lot of fans, especially fans of the Leafs, aren't big Tampa Bay Lightning fans. Me personally, I also do not like the Tampa Bay Lightning, as you can see behind me on the wall there. I'm mostly a Calgary Flames fan. I hate Tampa Bay. I have a bias, a vendetta, a grudge against them from 2004. But honestly, Kucherov was the best player, most valuable to his team this year in the league. So look at his stats here, 44 goals and 100 assists. He became the 5th player in NHL history to get 100 assists in one season after who? Well, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Bobby Orr, and then Connor McDavid this season. So he also hit 100 assists for 144 points, led the league in points this season. Just insane. The only thing there is that he was only +8. Maybe not quite as good defensively as all these other guys we've talked about in this video, but Kucherov was just, honestly, he was just insane. Look at the Tampa Bay Lightning point leaders this season. So Nikita Kucherov didn't even have the most goals, but of course he had the most assists and the most points. But not just the most points, he had the most points by 54 points. He had 54 more points than Brayden Point, who didn't have a bad season. He had 90 points in 81 games. That's great for Brayden Point. 46 goals. Well, guess what? Most of those Genos that Brayden Point was scoring were apples from Nikita Kucherov. Kuch was feeding him on the power play, doing it all. Same with Steven Stamkos there. Victor Hedman had a great season, but as you get further down that list there, it's pretty quick that players are sub 50 points. Nikita Kucherov really was the reason that the Lightning stayed competitive in a very, very tough Atlantic division this season. A lot of people thought with Vasilevsky hurt to start the season, that the Lightning would fall off and it would give a chance to teams like Detroit, Buffalo, maybe even Ottawa to have the chance to kind of creep up in the Atlantic Division, because we all knew Toronto was going to be good, Florida was going to be good. A lot of people thought Boston would regress with some of the players they lost, but they, of course, ended up being good again as well. But Tampa Bay stayed competitive, and it was in large thanks to Nikita Kucherov. Let's take a look at all the other guys who we talked about in this video. So they're all on this list here. Nikita Kucherov, the thing about him there, he's the only Lightning player in the top 10 in the league in points. MacKinnon has Rantanen there at 8th, and I believe Makar's not too far behind as well. McDavid in there at 3rd. Well, look, there's Draisaitl at 7th, and as we know, Hyman got 1 million goals this year as well. Auston Matthews in 6th. Well, guess what? Willie Nylander also had a great season. So this just proves that Kucherov, really was the most valuable player to his team compared to some of these other guys. I know a lot of people are saying Panarin, Pastrnak maybe should have been in the conversation. They didn't quite have as good of seasons as these other guys. It kind of looks like to me like the NHL thought, who are the top 3 in points this year? All right, we'll make them the finalists. And it's not even the NHL who does it. It's the, Professional Hockey Writers Association. So it's the writers, the journalists, whatever. They're the ones nominating it. They probably just looked and saw top 3 in points. All right, we'll make them the finalists, and from there we'll go, kind of thing. Whereas you needed to look deeper. A lot of people thought goalies could have been in there, like Hellebuck. Makar from defense was just insane this year. And just others, like I said, Panarin, Pastrnak, but of course, Auston Matthews, 69 goals. How's he not even a finalist? I'm still bamboozled, to be quite honest with you. Here is a comment that I saw online that I think just kind of capitalizes this, or just generalizes it perfectly, from wow_Philly. It's a crazy year when a 69 goal scorer is understandably not even a finalist. And that's not including guys like Panarin, Helly, and Sid. MacKinnon is my favorite player, but I go with Kuch here. That team doesn't even make the playoffs without him. Cleared his teammates in points, involved in every sense of success they had this season. Oh, and 100 apples doesn't hurt his argument either. So this guy's kind of saying Matthews wasn't robbed. Look, these other guys carried their teams a little more, or were more valuable and got way more points. But it really does just boil down to Kucherov. He led this team to the playoffs, kept them competitive, was way better than any of his other teammates, and, really helped the Tampa Bay Lightning. I personally agree with that. I think Kucherov deserves to win the Hart Trophy. Will we see? I don't know. Maybe McDavid has the PR on his side. Nathan MacKinnon with those streaks, and potentially how good these teams do in the playoffs. I know it's not supposed to matter at all, but I think we've seen a little bit of influence from the playoffs in the past from these trophies. But either way, I believe Nikita Kucherov deserves this trophy. No matter what, they all had amazing seasons. I think Matthews should be a candidate. Personally, maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but I think he should have been over McDavid in this nominations. But either way, it should be very exciting to see who does end up winning the Hart Trophy and getting the league's MVP. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.